So you're doing all the research, you're putting in the fasting hours, but what if I told you your fast might still be incomplete? We're going to dive into this because the science is showing it might not just be about how long you fast, but about a key signal your body needs to actually kickstart its cleanup process.
It's a really frustrating question, isn't it? You could be doing everything by the book, fasting for 16, maybe even 18 hours, and still not be getting the full cellular recycling benefits you're working so hard for. But it turns out there's a pretty clear biological reason this can happen.
It really all comes down to this, a communication breakdown. Imagine your body sends out a memo that says, start cleaning, but a crucial link is missing. That message just never gets delivered to the cleanup crew inside your cells. The whole engine just can't start.
Okay, so to understand why, we need to look at two master switches that basically control everything inside your cells. These two proteins are in a constant state of tug-of-war, and they're the ones deciding if your cells are in growth mode or cleanup mode. Think of it like this. You've got mTor, who's like the factory manager. When mTor is on the clock, the factory is in full-on production mode, building, storing, growing. The cleanup crew, they can't even get in the door. But then you have AMPK. That's the cellular energy alarm. It's like the low fuel light in your car. The second it senses energy is low, it fires up and sends a direct message to the factory manager, "Hey, your shift is over, go home." And only then can the cleanup begin.
And that cleanup process, well, that's called autophagy. It's your body's absolutely brilliant, built-in recycling system. It goes around finding old, damaged, junky parts of your cells, breaks them down, and recycles the raw materials. This is the process we want to get going.
Now for the good news. We can actually influence those master switches using specific compounds found in everyday foods. So let's start with a solid daily foundation, things you can easily work into your routine to send that cleanup signal every single day.
First up at number 8, we've got something you might already be drinking every morning, green tea. And if you really want to kick it up a notch, its concentrated form, Matcha, is a real powerhouse for this.
Now what's really interesting here is how it works. The active compound EGCC sends this quiet but persistent signal to activate your energy alarm, AMPK. That's the signal that tells the factory manager to stand down. Now here's a critical detail. Matcha has up to 3 times more EGCC, but, and this is important, you have to brew it below 80 degrees Celsius. Any hotter, and you'll destroy the compound.
Next up, at number 7, is extra virgin olive oil. And what's so cool about this one is that it doesn't just activate the recycling system you already have, it actually helps build entirely new ones.
Yeah, this one takes a completely different route. 2 compounds, oleoropin and oleocanthal, they activate something called TFEB. Think of TFEB as the city planner. It goes into your cell's headquarters, the nucleus, and flips on the program to build brand new recycling factories. The key here, though, is you need real, cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. The kind that gives you that strong, peppery bite in the back of your throat. That bite, that's the oleocanthal telling you it's working.
All right, let's look at 2 more daily powerhouses. We've got turmeric at number 6, which helps with the actual construction of the recycling machinery, and then coffee at number 5, which basically sends a direct shutdown signal to that factory manager.
So with turmeric, the magic is in its active compound, curcumin. It activates a protein called Beclin-1. Now, if TFEB is the city planner, think of Beclin-1 as the construction foreman who draws the blueprints for the recycling vessel itself. But listen, curcumin is almost useless on its own. You have to take it with black pepper, because the piperine in pepper boosts its absorption by, get this, 2,000%. Now for coffee, it's not the caffeine, but the chlorogenic acid that's doing the work. It hits both switches at once. It suppresses mTor and activates AMPK. Just remember, it's gotta be black coffee. Sugar will instantly reverse the entire effect.
Okay, so we've covered the daily foundation. Now, let's move on to a more advanced strategy. A synergistic stack of compounds that, when you combine them, create an effect that's biochemically a lot like fasting itself.
These 3 compounds, resveratrol, berberine, and quercetin, they work together like a team to create such a powerful, coordinated signal that the factory manager mTor simply cannot ignore it. This is where it gets really clever. Berberine comes in and hits mTOR from one direction by activating AMPK. Then quercetin hits it from 2 directions, activating both AMPK and the constriction pathway. Then you have resveratrol, which you find in red grape skins, and it activates a longevity protein called SIRT1.
You can think of CERT1 as the CEO who gives the final thumbs up, kicking the whole cleanup process into high gear. It's a coordinated multi-angle attack. mTor literally has nowhere to go.
But what if I told you that everything we just talked about, all these complex switches and pathways, what if they could all be bypassed? What if there was one compound that fasting itself actually relies on to even work? I mean, really, what if a single compound could just flip the master switch for autophagy directly at the genetic level, without having to bother with suppressing mTOR or waiting for that energy alarm?
Well, at the number one spot, we find our answer. The compound is called spermidine. And you know where you find the highest food source? Something a lot of us have been told to avoid: aged cheese.
And this is where the science just gets absolutely fascinating. A 2024 study in Nature Cell Biology confirmed that fasting itself doesn't directly trigger autophagy. No. Fasting works by raising your body's internal levels of spermidine. It turns out spermidine is the true key that starts the engine.
So what makes spermidine so powerful? It's totally unique. It works by inhibiting an enzyme called EP300, which directly unlocks the genes for autophagy right at the source. This means it bypasses the mTOR switch completely. So the crucial point here, the big takeaway, is that spermidine can activate the cellular cleanup even when you are not fasting, even when mTOR is still active.
Okay, that was a whole lot of science, so let's pull it all together into one integrated system. Because this isn't about just picking one food, right? It's about understanding how they can all work together to cover every single biological mechanism we know about.
So here's a quick summary. You've got green tea's EGCG activating the energy alarm, AMP. You have olive oil building new machinery. Turmeric is supplying the construction foreman. The power stack overwhelms mTOR. And then finally, spermidine comes in and flips the genetic master switch. Each one plays a unique and really vital role in the system.
So, as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Which of these 8 autophagy activators are you already using? And, maybe more importantly, which one could you add to make your own cellular recycling system even more powerful?